Hello, welcome back to Isolation Inspiration, day 7. We've been looking every day at 3 things, and those 3 things have been something about our family story, something about the Peel family, and something about our food philosophy. The last couple of days I've been flipping it. So yesterday we started off with the food philosophy, and we got to talk about one of my favourite subjects, and that is coffee. We looked at how coffee has a very similar story to what's happening in the natural wine movement, that specialty coffee roasters are tending to roast lighter. Unlike the commercial roasters that are roasting dark, you tend to taste roast and not coffee. So we might have a cup of roast rather than a cup of coffee when we go to Starbucks. But at the end of the day, what the specialty coffee movement and roasters like Has Been, who we work with, are trying to do is allow you to taste the fruit, the acidity, the flavors that are actually in the coffee bean. And that's why I love to drink coffee black. I love to drink coffee as it cools. The cooler it gets, the more fruit you taste. And I just genuinely prefer that to coffee with lots of milk and lots of sugar or flavors or syrups. There's something about that spirit that really represents what our journey has been around food, that we have equally wanted to bring our produce to the table in an honest way. Where simplicity and the focus on the main ingredient is always primary, that we always want to allow the ingredients that we've worked really hard to source, the farmers that have worked hard to rear the animals, the growers that have worked hard to grow their vegetables, that when we put it on the table it would be true to the ingredient that we're representing, and that our cooking has that similar story. And one way that you can do that and influence a dish is fermentation. And I'm currently reading this really interesting book, which is Noma's Guide to Fermentation. And again, it kind of really helps us understand how all of this ties together, what we're doing in our kitchen, how our winemakers are working. Of course, winemaking is a form of fermentation. But with our food, we can ferment foods. And when we ferment vegetables, there can be all kinds of different flavors and complexities that come from allowing the yeasts and the bacteria to work and to evolve in the food. All good bacteria, good yeasts, things to enjoy and celebrate. Just like a good blue cheese has bacteria in, we're looking at living vegetables, allowing something of that micro biome there to grow and evolve in the food as we ferment it, and that's really good for our health, because our gut is full of bacteria, and the more we can encourage that good bacteria, the better. So you'll hear us talk about Rob uses fermented grains, he ferments vegetables. We've got that signature beetroot dish where we ferment the beetroot, and that incredible beetroot sauce. That beetroot sauce is just purely beetroot juice that's been fermented, and it gives an acidity that really brings the dish alive. So fermentation is like we talked about at the beginning of our Isolation Inspiration. Our wines are living wines. There's often stuff going on still inside some of the bottles even, and the wines can even still be evolving in there. But they're wines where the yeasts that naturally occur in the vineyards are harvested in the way they make their wine, allowing the fermentation to take place naturally, and everything about producing food and wine in a slow way that allows flavor to evolve, allows texture to develop. It's all to do with fermentation. So I want to encourage you to start thinking about the art of fermentation. Of course, bread is another subject where that comes into play. Sourdoughs, and how the cultures evolve, and how we make sourdough. So join up all the dots and realize like how the winemakers, the bakers, the chefs, the roasters, they're all doing something very, very similar, with a very similar spirit, to get back to the heart of what that ingredient is meant to be and to bring the best out of it. Great, that's Isolation Inspiration Food Philosophy. I wanted to tell you a little bit about Dr. Sally Bell, my youngest sister today. As you know, she's a wellness doctor, and if you go to www.drsallybell.com, you'll be able to read about her 5 pillars, and one of those is all about how we eat. Basically, it's so important that we that we nourish to flourish, that we eat well in order to give our bodies the best chance of being strong and healthy and fit. And particularly at a time like this is such an important area and subject. So get to know Sally. She's an inspiration in my life. She's a real pioneer. She thinks so much about food, and she's really worth connecting with if you see her around the estate. And then finally, just something about the Peel family. I'm going to tell you about Frederick. He had 2 wives, and I give you the challenge of finding throughout the estate where he has intertwined his initial with his wife's initial. So you'll find an F and an E intertwined in different places around the estate for Elizabeth, his wife. So go and have a look for that. He got married twice, and I set you the challenge of finding out his second wife's name too. That's something I'm going to let you go and discover. So there's the 3 things today from Isolation Inspiration, and I look forward to catching up with you tomorrow. Bye.